Welcome, everyone, back to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast. I'm Craig, joined as always by Jeff. And today we're going to talk about auction draft steals and values. I think we're just going to go position by position and just like I have the ESPN current prices up. And just I'm going to look at some players that I'm like, these just feels too low to me. I don't know. Some of these maybe we're stuck in old names. I don't know if that's the case. I just think some of these guys have really good prices. There could be somebody that's higher that we still feel good about. Some will be the cheap guys that are going for nothing. But I find there's definitely value out here. A lot of value. And that's why I love auction drafts, because you can get this kind of value. But quarterback. I'm going to start at quarterback. I don't think there's a lot here really at quarterback. I think it's pretty straightforward. But I did find one interesting when I'm looking. And it is crazy to me, like after just 1 year, how far CJ Stroud has fallen off. On ESPN, he's like the 18th quarterback going for under $1. You can get CJ Stroud then for like $1 at the end of your bench. I might do that a few times. I don't know. I know he has some different receivers there, but he has Nico. Why is Nico Collins so loved if CJ Stroud's not? Then he has some, I know, that's pretty much it, right? At this point, is Tank Dell, what's he? But then he has some rookies. $1 CJ Stroud, I think put that at the end of my bench and see if he can return to form from this, return to form. He had 3,700 yards and 20 touchdowns last year yet. The other year before it was 4,123. Wasn't that much different. So, I don't know, $1, I'll take that.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. I don't really understand why he fell off so much. And I think, you're watching it and they were definitely more run heavy. But you have Mixon, which is kind of banged up, and then you have Chubb packing him up. So you do wonder if they're going to put the ball in his hands a little more. And perhaps, that could work. They do have a good defense and all that. So maybe that plays into it. But it is hard to believe that you're kind of like, Caleb Williams is over you. And
J.J. McCarthy is.
Yeah, J.J. McCarthy.
And I'm a McCarthy guy, being a Michigan fan.
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
I don't know. It is. I have a hard time with that one as well.
There's not a lot that stood out to me. A lot of the guys, I don't mind. Like, I don't know. Does Dak do better? He's cheap. Justin Herbert's cheap. Goff is always cheap, even though he throws a lot of yards. There's a lot of guys that are Jordan Love. Is he going to turn up? There's a lot of good guys that you can put. These are like my second quarterbacks though.
Yeah.
I still want. This year I feel like I want a top 5 quarterback. Really a top 3. I could drop to 4 or 5, maybe even 6 with Mahomes, and feel good about it. If you can get Mahomes for like $10, I know he wasn't good, but he wasn't good. He was fantasy wise wasn't as good as before, but I feel like you can do way worse than a Patrick Mahomes for like $9 or $10.
Yeah, no, I agree. And this is a position you absolutely can punt if you want.
Yeah,
but it is hugely beneficial to have a quarterback that you can lean on week to week. And I think those top 3, and once again, I consider Jaden Daniels above Jalen Hurts, depending on what rankings you're looking at. So I would say him, Josh Allen, Lamar would be the top 3 for me.
Yep. All right, running back. I'm going to go to running back, see if there's any names that really stand out to us. And at the top, like actually, when I look at running backs, I feel like I've had a pretty good track record of finding the bust in the running backs. And I don't know if anybody stands out to me like huge. So I just like to start there just because I always find one. No one really stands out like that, which is a good thing. Maybe I'll say if there's anybody, maybe it's Bucky Irving, but I'm hoping not because I have him on a lot of teams, but I don't see a lot of value at the top. I think it's just fine. I think everyone's where they should be. It's when you go further down, maybe. And one of them, I guess, is, again, it's players that really looked good and went for huge money, and then now people just don't believe anymore, like a Breece Hall. I don't mind him for the $15. And can he come back to form? He was coming, like, I kind of, I still like him. I think that's a good little $15 for a guy like that could break out more. And he's looked really good at times before he got hurt. And he probably hasn't been the same since then, but could this be the year he does that? Maybe. It wasn't like he was terrible. He just had no quarterback play. And again, will he have quarterback play this year? I don't know. It's Justin Fields, so he might not either. But he averaged 4.2 yards per carry last year, 876 yards. There wasn't many touchdowns, but I'd probably take a shot at him for $15. I don't think that's bad at all.
No, I think that's underpriced for him, and I have Fantasy Pros up as well, and they have him at $26, which I think is much more reasonable.
Yeah,
and even for that, I like the upside because I think the guys above him aren't necessarily better talents, and they aren't going to get a bigger share necessarily. So, I like him if you're going for that RB2 range.
Yep. Another one who is really down there, and because he just didn't play as much last year, which I still would probably take a shot. Like Isaiah Pacheco for like $5. He's $5 on ESPN. What's he going for Fantasy Pros?
14.
Okay, see, he should be a little higher. I think that's another. If he goes for more ESPN prices, that's again. This isn't what ESPN prices them at. This is what they actually are going for in actual drafts. People always yell at us for like using ESPN. No, this is what they're truly going for in actual auction drafts right now. He's going for 4.4. That's another dart throw for me. Like. Again, this is like an injury thing, why he wasn't as good. The offense wasn't as good. What if Kansas City becomes more of Kansas City again? That could be a really good player for that price. Because even $5, that's nothing. He's down there with rookies and Brian Robinson and players like that I just don't love. He's one of the ones that really stood out to me. Him and Breece Hall did. I don't know. Is there anybody else you like that's just too cheap? Because there's rookies. There's just, I don't know.
Yeah, here's the question. The one that kind of catches my eye, and I totally understand why they have a price reduction on him, because you don't know how the backfield is going to pan out. But J.K. Dobbins.
Yes. Okay.
And he's the one, and once again, I get in trouble because he was an early love of mine. And
Yes.
I'm not giving up on him, but I drafted him last year. He was well worth it.
I was going to, if you didn't bring him up, I was going to bring him up again. And the reason he's not is people have RJ Harvey ahead of him, right, the rookie. But you've heard some things already that maybe RJ Harvey hasn't been great in pass protection, and maybe he's not doing a couple great things. And if you look at history, it just looks like Sean Payton isn't the biggest always on the rookies right away. It takes him a little bit. Sometimes you'll put him down on the depth chart. J.K. Dobbins feels like he's going to be rock solid. Like they're going to like that. And this isn't like a team. This is a team that wants to win right now. They think they have a good quarterback, good receiver. They want the steady guy there. I think J.K. Dobbins is actually going to do way more than people are thinking, because he was actually good last year. Again, his problem is health. And does he stay healthy? Because he never stays healthy. But if you're getting him for on ESPN, it's $1.7. If you get J.K. Dobbins for no money at the end of your draft, sign me up. I'll take him. See if he's still J.K. Dobbins this year, because he had a very solid year last year. He was good. He was a good running back.
Yep, he came back from injury finally, and he kind of stayed healthy for the most part. And I really do like what I saw of him, and I think that's whoever it is, whether it be him or RJ Harvey, whoever. Once again, you have to pick your poison, right? So you either get it right or wrong. But I do think whoever is the main back in that backfield is going to be good. And right now, J.K. Dobbins is actually going for less. Yep. So I will take him. And at the worst, I think that's a split backfield.
Yep.
There is another one that I'm kind of interested in. And once again, I'm taking a risk. But the Houston backfield is two very old backs, right? Mixon was unbelievably good, but he was just kept getting hurt. He was just kind of kept getting battered. Nick Chubb goes to be his backup, and he's currently worth $3 on Fantasy Pros. I don't know how much he's going for.
Mixon.
Mixon and Chubb.
Yeah, Mixon's going for 12.
Oh wow, that's really cheap for him.
And then Chubb's going for 0.3.
Okay, so in my mind, I throw Chubb on the bench, and if Mixon gets hurt at some point, you fill in, and I don't think they changed the game plan for him, and I think that he will get goal line carries and whatnot, so I love him as just a flyer at the end.
Yep.
That's what I saw. Mixon, if he stays healthy, he's going to be very productive. I understand why $12 is really cheap, though. For $12, I have no issue taking him as my third running back or fourth. And
there are a lot of values in this running back spot, because there's a lot of backfields I think people don't know what to do with, and there's some cheap guys you can hopefully get some out of. Like, isn't it crazy the fall off of Travis Etienne? Like,
I had him in the dynasty, and I have no idea what to think about him.
But again, maybe it's I don't want a million of these guys, but I'll take a couple of them and take a chance. Like Etienne, we are giving up on players really quickly these days who to me weren't like, he's only like ETN's 26. So, but one of those guys could be value. ETN or Tank Bigsby.
Yeah.
Someone's going to do something there, right? I feel like they have to. Maybe Bigsby's the value.
I will say I do think that he's probably more of a, I think both of them are technically a value, but I do understand it because I do truly think that backfield is just going to cannibalize each other. I think Tank Bigsby will have a better touchdown upside. So I'm more inclined to take him because I just don't trust that Lawrence will truly get it together and ETN will be able to get enough in the receiving end of it. So I understand I'm the same way where it's kind of hands off or whatever of that backfield. But if it was up to me, I probably would go Bigsby because I think he's going to get the goal line work no matter what.
Yep.
And then if he takes off, great. If not, no big deal.
I think there's a lot of guys take a chance on a couple of them down here. Shoot, even, I don't know, the Cowboys running back situation's another mess, right? Right now, Javonte Williams is the one, and he's going for $2. So, don't go crazy with these guys, but there's just some interesting things down there. Even Jordan Mason for the Vikings. Aaron Jones Aaron Jones is going for nothing too. I don't know. It's crazy. I don't know. You don't want to fill your team with those kind of guys, but I do think there's some possible value.
Yeah,
there.
I love to throw a few of them on my bench, and you're always looking for running back depth. So,
yep. All right. How about wide receiver? Go over to wide receiver and see. All right. I'll just bring this name up quick because he's going to go lower because of his current holdout situation. It's Terry McLaurin.
Mm-hmm.
He's at like $17. He could even go lower. As your drafts, if he's still holding out in your drafts, he's going to keep going lower, and that could end up being a really good value because I feel like he's going to play. Like,
I do too. I don't think he'll hold out too long. I think that's a really great way to get a good wide receiver for relatively cheap. Because I'll be honest, if I see him at full value, I probably skip over him.
Yes.
Not because he's a bad wide receiver, just because I just don't think that he's going to go above that.
Yeah. But
give me production that goes above that. But
if you get that cheaper price, though, I think that's where you go for him.
Yeah.
One that stands out to me is Marvin Harrison Jr. He's ranked about 20th on ESPN. He's going for $15. And I know why. It's like people are just, he wasn't that great as a rookie. He had a good rookie season for a normal rookie. It's just the expectation was so high for him, probably because his name's Marvin Harrison. And, that's part of it. He obviously was Ohio State was awesome. But if you really look at it and you put this in the context of other rookies, normally 62 catches for 885 yards and 8 touchdowns. It's pretty solid.
That's
as a rookie, that's pretty solid. But yeah, Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors were just better.
Yeah,
as rookies. So they overshadowed him, but that talent's there. Like, absolutely, it's there.
I think he's incredibly safe too.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he came into a situation where it was, you do have other guys that are going to get the ball and you're always kind of up and down on the quarterback play there. So I think that for what he did, I'm kind of like, I'm going to get a floor that is rock solid.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much what I'm paying for. Everything else is upside. And that's what I really love about it, because the other guys that you're getting probably around that are boom or bust.
Mm-hmm.
And, I that's why I don't know. It's an added value that I think he really provides.
Yep. I just, if I could get him for that price range, I don't think he's going to go for 15. I think he's going to go for higher, but
yeah, I do too. He's rated at 24, which I think
makes more sense.
I'm not gonna lie. I think he's probably worth a little more than that in my mind.
Other names that I'm looking at, I don't know. For some reason, Devontae Smith, I just still feel like he's going to have a bigger breakout in him. This is year 5, right? So it's not like he's 20. He's going to turn 27 during the season, right? He's not this young guy anymore. But I still think he wasn't as good last year, and that's why he's gone down. Year 2 and 3, he was way better. 95 catches for 1,200 yards and 7 touchdowns in his year 2. And then he was 81 for 1,000 and 7 touchdowns in year 3. And last year he missed 4 games, but he still had 68, 800, and 8 touchdowns in 13 games, though. He missed 4 games to put up those numbers. So they don't look as good, but he was a pretty good player. And his price right now on ESPN is 7.5. So again, I like that kind of the guys that you actually look down here and he has the talent. So I'll probably have him on a few teams because it's not, honestly, if I figure it out right, he's maybe my 3rd receiver at best. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, I get that one. I struggle with it because
it needs to be cheap. I'm not like,
yeah.
It's cheap. I'm not like sold. I'm not like, oh, okay, I know for sure like he's really gonna break out. I'm not there, but
I mean, he's a good. It's the same reason why people are kind of like a little backing off of AJ a little bit, because who is actually going to be the breadwinner of that organization, right? Right now, you're kind of like, okay, Saquon, and then you get around the end zone, and you're kind of like, okay, well, Hurts could still run a bunch in. Like, who are they actually throwing to? And those two wide receivers are incredibly good. That's just a very talented team. That's why I'm kind of like, I get where you're coming from, where you're like, here, when you're looking at it, you know that he's going to put up some decent numbers. You know that he has the talent, so why not go with him compared to? And then you start talking about, because the people around him are like George Pickens, where you're like,
I don't know. That's an interesting one. It's an interesting name.
You just have no idea,
no
right?
clue.
Yeah, no idea.
I feel like I have a way better idea about what Devontae Smith will do.
Exactly, and I think that's why you start being like, okay, I would rather take the safe guy.
Oh, and then speaking of right behind George Pickens is Jameson Williams. Man, if he can play a whole year and figure this out, I think he could really be awesome.
Without a doubt.
I don't know. He had 58 catches for 1,000 yards last year and 7 touchdowns.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. You're going to get him. It's hard to overpay for him because you're going to get a boomer bust type of guy if he doesn't get more receptions. And I think that's quite possible that they just continue using him to stretch the field. And you'll get some weeks where you're like, all it takes is one throw with like one catch from him, which is great. But until you're kind of getting to like 70 catches, you're kind of like, oh man, how many of am I going to get 5 games where he's amazing and then the rest you're kind of like,
Probably.
And, and that's the thing, like how much is he actually going for in ESPN? Because currently he is going as the 23rd run or wide receiver for $18. And at that price,
he's the 30th for 6.7.
Okay, see, for that I would do it all day.
Right? Of course.
At 18, I was kind of like, well, you're probably taking away from another guy.
I wouldn't do it. See, and that's where I think it becomes a mixture of the two. That's why I like seeing fantasy pros, because they're really telling you what they think these guys should be.
Right.
And ESPN right now is telling you what they're going for.
Yeah.
But it's going to be, as you get closer, they're probably more of a middle ground somewhere. But still, I think that's a good one. And then the rest becomes kind of like a running back situation. Like I said, a lot of these names, some of these were big names. Maybe they weren't as good last year. They didn't live up to expectations, or they're older and they're going to go for dirt cheap. But I'm like, man, I just might want to try it because maybe. And I think a couple of them put together like a Cooper Kupp and a Stephon Diggs in new situations. Are they just going to be done and you never hear from them again and they never are relevant? They might be. Or maybe they needed this new scenery and they're still there. I don't know. They're not going for much. On ESPN, they're going like Diggs is going for 3.5, and Kupp's going for 4. So again, I don't want all of that. I want all that, but maybe I'll throw one of them on the end of my team.
Right.
Maybe more Diggs actually, because I might like Drake May a little more than I like a Sam Darnold throwing the ball. I don't know.
Yeah, you never know. And Darnold is another one where you have no idea because last year he did great, but that was like the only time he's ever done anything. So Cooper Kupp does seem a bit washed, and I hate saying that, but yeah, I agree.
What about Chris Olave? $3. He has no quarterback though. I think that's the
I'll be honest. Like I've been burned with Olave, and he had concussion issues, and I think he's a talented guy that's kind of stuck in purgatory at the moment, unfortunately.
Then there's rookies that are going for dirt cheap. I wouldn't mind throwing one of them. You got, Matthew Golden's down there. He's going for nothing. Tet McMillan's not going for a lot.
Yeah, I do love, taking the dart throw at the wide receiver core that just hasn't had the pecking order sorted out yet. I kind of... Those are kind of fun to do, and I definitely think that is one of them. I think another one is KC. I think you can get Hollywood Brown, who
not for nothing,
for $1 or whatever. And we don't know what's going to happen to Rice necessarily. The rookies, like Kelsey is obviously his production is going down. So take the dart throw. Yeah, I throw one of them that you like the most on your bench, and you're kind of like whichever one you get for cheap.
Man, I could talk about a million guys.
Yeah.
One more out is the 49ers situation. Ayuk's hurt. Who knows when he'll come back? So it's just Jawan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall.
Yeah.
I kind of like Pearsall.
I was going to say Pearsall, and I know is he on the PUP right now? I think he was banged up. I think he was hurt. But I could be wrong that he's already come off.
Yeah, I think he's. I know Jawan Jennings is hurt. So I think Pearsall is good.
Okay.
Right now. Yep.
Yeah, I think people kind of forgot about, and he wasn't a huge name coming out either, but there's no one there.
But I think if you're drafting right now, you can get him for nothing. I think the hype's going to build if you're drafting later. I think his price is going to go way up as these drafts go on. I really do. So he's one of them. Another, just throwing out there again.
Yeah.
Former 49er, Deebo Samuel is going for nothing. His situation can change. I mean, depending on how long does McLaurin hold out. What happens there? Does McLaurin play week 1? But Debo's going for nothing. But how are they going to use him? Washington.
Yeah,
who knows?
I was going to say, well, that is a very interesting one.
You don't know how they're going to use him.
He's
really fallen off.
Yeah. Did he though? Like, that's one that I really am confused by. But I kind of feel the same way about Diggs, where he actually was fine. He just got hurt.
Yeah.
He just turns into an issue everywhere.
He's going for nothing. So
I will say I have 2 more, and they're in the same bucket, if you will, where they're kind of the second year, and I actually think both of them probably didn't get a full look last year. Roma Dunze, I think him in Chicago is very intriguing. I know DJ Moore is going to be number 1, and everyone starts kind of falling in love with Loveland, but I really like him there, and I love the coaching change and everything. Obviously, you're assuming a lot more, but he's a very interesting name, and right now he's projected at $8. Probably right now he's going for a lot less than that.
He's going for 4 in ESPN, yeah.
And then the other one that I do want to bring up that I think is criminally underrated at the moment would be Keon Coleman.
Man, why not take a...
He was $7, and I think he's technically the number 1 on that offense, and I don't think he really got to shine last year. I know that, there's some things working against him, but at the same time, like an athletic wide receiver that could easily just turn into the guy for Josh Allen, I'm taking him at 7 all day.
I love those young guys who, after 1 year where they're not like amazing, people just forget about them, but they can break out. And that's how you get steals in auction drafts. All right, tight end. I don't have much. Are we buying into Kyle Pitts?
I know every year. That's the worst part. We were joking about this before, and I was like, Kyle Pitts, I was like, man, he burned me too many times. Never again.
But for $1?
Yeah. We watched one video that was like a joke, like, get him. And immediately I was like, know what? But he is a freak. Yeah. I don't know. Here's the thing.
If I can get him for $1, I think I do.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Okay,
at the end of my, if you have a deeper bench and you can go a second tight end.
Yeah, if you can get him for $1, who cares? Like any of these guys for $1. In my mind, there's a couple of guys here that I'm like, okay, they're kind of interesting and later in the draft, right? But I do want to, in order to know if they're like a sleeper or a value, I have to know how you actually feel about tight ends in general. Who would you actually be worth? Like, who's worth the money? Who would you actually go out and pay? Are you paying $20 for anyone?
No, I don't do it. I never find the value in that. I don't. So it means, like, for me, I'm out on Bowers, I'm out on McBride, I'm out on Kittle, like, automatically. And I'm probably out on Laporta at around, like, on ESPN, he's going for 10.
Yeah, and Mark Andrews, I don't have the confidence.
I don't.
Like, if I'm paying for a tight end, like, they have to be safe. And I just don't see him being incredibly safe with Isaiah Likely there. And
it's a tough one for me. I feel like I probably am. I don't even know where I'm going to go. Tucker Kraft, and hope that's the breakout guy.
Right. I will say there's a couple of guys that that are kind of intriguing, and I'll just list them off. And I don't really have one that I fell in love with yet. I think Kraft is interesting. I think Jake Ferguson is actually interesting for Dallas because we don't know where all these, who Dak is going to be throwing to. Evan Ingram in Denver, as we just talked about, their offense is probably going to be pretty good. Everywhere he goes, he's actually very solid. He's aging now, so I'm not exactly sure, but he's intriguing because he's cheap right now. He's only going for $2. And then Isaiah Likely, if he ever got the true momentum behind him, but once again, it turns into the same thing. So not him, but the other guy that I actually do really like is Brenton Strange. I'm buying into the Jacksonville thing because he's dirt cheap, and in small window, I'm like, okay, I think he'll be a top 10 tight end, and I think he has upside.
Yeah, I think this year, I just can't spend. Bowers is just too much. Like, they're just too much.
I will say Bowers and McBride, I mean, at least if you're buying one of those guys, they're going to catch a ton of balls, which that is very telling for a tight end, because I can't really say that for anyone else.
No, you really
Like
can't.
Andrews is touchdown dependent, which I don't always hate, but
Trey McBride isn't touchdown dependent because he doesn't catch touchdowns.
exactly.
He caught 2 touchdowns last year and 111 catches.
Which I understand why people all of a sudden were like, well, he already put up that kind of production and he didn't catch. Yeah.
Yeah. They assume it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it could.
I mean, it has to, right? Like,
yeah,
maybe not 10, but
rather
like,
spend my money,
you stumble over 5.
I'd rather spend my money elsewhere. And maybe I do just say screw it and get like Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, go for the old guys and say for cheaper and hope they do something.
Yeah. I mean, you still have the rookies down here too that aren't going for a lot. Like if you really want to go for that route, I'm usually not a rookie guy when it comes to tight end, but you never know.
Yep.
Loveland and you know.
Yeah. So, all right, there we go. There's some steals and values. I think again, that's what I love about auction drafts. So I always feel like there's a lot of value, and you can go pinpoint who you want and get them way better than you can in a snake draft. It's just a way better way to do it. But
and because there's a lot of values, it does mean that you can get really high end guys as well and pair them. So. And I think that's the way to go.
Yep. I think you can get your guys you want for a lot of money, and then I think you feel comfortable enough with enough guys there that you should make a good roster. So, all right, that'll do it. Talk to you guys next time.